Good morning and welcome to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am located at 1563 Main Street in Peckville, Pennsylvania, and I am here with you, the landowner, to bring you the valuable information that you need regarding natural gas development here in Pennsylvania. And you can join me every single Sunday on this station from 8 to 9 a.m. So if you're looking for landowner, oil and gas right owner information, then this, ladies and gentlemen, is the show for you. At the Clark Law Firm, my focus is on landowner and oil and gas right owner representation. I will say it and I will repeat it, that I have not, will not, do not represent oil and gas companies, pipeline companies, energy companies. I represent landowners, oil and gas right owners, and have not, and will not, write it down, will not, don't care, will never do it, represent oil and gas companies. I represent landowners for such items as, of course, oil and gas lease negotiations, reviews, consultations, pipeline right-of-way agreements, royalty issues, unitization issues, very big thing now. Were you properly unitized? Has the company breached your oil and gas lease in the way in which they've unitized your property? And it happens. It does happen. So I was stressed to everybody, if you think you have a potential breach or a dispute regarding your oil and gas lease or your pipeline agreement, you need to make a call, whether to me or somebody else. You need to make a call today, not tomorrow, because there's this thing called the statute of limitations, where you have a certain time frame to act, to bring a claim if you've been wronged or if your contract has been breached. And I assure you, I've seen it firsthand, that if you wait too long, that company would say, hey, yeah, well, maybe we did do something wrong, but you didn't raise that claim quick enough. And that's the law. That's not illegal. That's the law. So don't sit on a potential claim. If they did something wrong, you need to take action. I have personally seen people in more than one occasion who sat back and now have waited too long, and they don't have a claim because they are barred because of the statute of limitations. Please, guys, if you think there's a problem, find out. Get information, because the company will use the law. There's nothing wrong with that. You can expect them to do that, but they will, of course, use the law and say, hey, well, yeah, maybe we did something wrong, but you didn't bring this up quick enough. So you have to be aggressive to at least find out, do I have a claim? What are my time frames? When do I have to bring it? Please be careful. I've ran into this just very recently. And unfortunately, if the landowners would have contacted me a couple years ago when they knew about the problem, they would be in a completely different circumstance. But by waiting, probably cost them, I'll just say, quite a bit. And I'm not talking about thousands of dollars. I'm talking about a lot more than that. So also, more and more estate planning, any and all disputes related to reclamation, unitization, anything, royalties, you name it, surface use agreements, well pad agreements, and of course, all across the state of Pennsylvania. So I have clients all over the state, have had clients all over the state. Do not worry about distance from the office. With today's technology, we're able to communicate and represent landowners, again, all over the state, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. But again, people who own property or gas rights in Pennsylvania, all over the country, they may be located, and even other places in the world. So don't be afraid of distance. Little commercial alert, give us a call, learn more. Also, I got to keep saying this, these reviews and consultations, when you get an offer, before you sign, earlier the better, call the office, get a review and consultation. Usually takes an hour or two. And I'm telling you, the feedback has been virtually unanimous. Hey, this has been a great informational consultation, we're so much more prepared. Maybe we move forward and continue representation for negotiation and reviews and things of that nature. Maybe in many cases that's it, because the landowner says, hey, I didn't realize I could say no. Or, okay, I have the tools I need and now I'm going to do something on my own. That's an individual choice, but more and more I'm doing these reviews and consultations. So if you're given a gas lease or if you're given a pipeline right-of-way agreement, my experience has been the investment of an hour or two of legal fees has great rewards for you, the landowner. And again, I know I'm saying this, but I'm telling you, client after client, landowner after landowner has said the same thing after the call. So really encourage you. And again, I do them by call or in office, whatever you prefer. And it's always, of course, with me. There's no associate. It's always going to be me, Doug Clark, working on your file, doing your consultation, speaking with you and your family members. We can have a bunch of people on the line. It has been a great resource for landowners. So I really encourage you. Again, I'll give you my number, 570-307-0702. 570-307-0702. So to remind everybody, I'm with you right here in this station every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. to bring you the information that you need regarding natural gas development in Pennsylvania. So, okay, let's jump into the show. Oh, boy. It's going to be one of these days, guys. It's going to be one of these days. So I went on vacation over this past week, and I have to say it was one of my best vacations that I've been on. An incredibly enjoyable vacation. I think I've said both of our sons have gone off to school. The youngest one just left for college here in August. So this was kind of our first trip, my wife and I, who works at the Things Marcellus, for vacation, and it was quite enjoyable, stress-free, really good time. Until I got back to the office. And so 6 days I was gone, 6 days. So you find out a lot can happen in 6 days. On a positive side, I had probably, we'll say conservatively, 10 calls in 6 days from potential new clients, people who have been presented with new gas lease offers, new pipeline offers, new other types of agreements for surface development, which is a really nice sign that things seem to be picking up. And that's been my experience for the last month or so. We've been seeing more and more of pickup. So that's a really good thing. Of course, though, there have been some other things that occurred while I was away. Unfortunately, one of the things that occurred was a landowner became impatient, and more than the landowner becoming impatient, a landowner fell for the old, we're in such a hurry line. We need this done right away, immediately, right of way, not right of way, but right away. We need it done immediately. So here's the situation. Landowner, let's go hypothetical here. Landowner hires a really good oil and gas attorney and ends up having, in this process, a negotiated right-of-way agreement for a pipeline across their property. And because they had a really good oil and gas pipeline attorney, they had a very strong pipeline right-of-way agreement. And that agreement, let's say, hypothetically said, hey, this pipeline has to be located in the easement areas, have to be located as defined on the exhibit map that was attached to the agreement. Very good, very good. It also said that the only access to the easement area would be from either end of the right-of-way where it enters or exits the property. In other words, it also said no roadways are allowed under the agreement. Expressly states in the agreement, you company cannot have a roadway unless the landowner signs off and allows you to have a roadway in the future. Also, because the lawyer did a very nice job, says that you can only access either end of the right-of-way, again, no roadways or no other access, but also even goes further to say that the locations have to be here as depicted on the map. So let's say hypothetically, lawyer goes on vacation. And in this time frame, the landowner is approached by the gas company, or in this case, hypothetically, pipeline company landman, and says, hey, we have a new map that we want you to sign for this old pipeline right-of-way agreement. Oh, and by the way, in a shocking turn of events, who could have ever foreseen this? But boy, we're in a big hurry. We're in a big hurry. We need to get this signed right away, immediately, because we want to apply for permits, let's say in the next week or so. So yeah, you got all this time, pipeline company, but you need to get this signed today because we want a permit next week. Oh, and by the way, this is going to get you more money because this is going to mean we're going to exercise the option and pay you for the right-of-way agreement. And with this pipeline that we're going to permit or apply for a permit next week, that's going to carry more gas, your gas, more royalties, coming sooner. Here's the pen. Go ahead and sign. So, okay, what you need to say right there, take 2 steps back, I prefer 3, and drop the pen. Don't sign. Say, okay, thank you, but I've learned in life that I do not need to make decisions immediately, and though you may be in a hurry, I am not in a hurry. You may be in a hurry, but I'm not. I'm not asking you for something. You're asking me for something. And people who act rashly, people who act quickly, quite often, unfortunately, make bad decisions or later on regret those decisions. So I've learned that in my lifetime, and I've seen others act quickly and immediately make bad decisions. So you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to talk to my lawyer. I'm going to think about this, and I'm going to make a sound, rational decision. And I'm not going to be pressured or hurried or bullied or fall into the trap that you're in such a hurry and it's going to make me super rich and it's all good for me. I'm going to take a little bit of time. I'm going to look at this and I'm going to talk to my attorney, send it to him or her, and have them look at this and say, hey, what's this about? Do I need your assistance? Is this something major? Can I go ahead and sign this? What's the deal? That would have been a very sound, good decision. What would be a bad decision would be relying on the pipeline company landman who, in a shock, is in a hurry. And why would that, ladies and gentlemen, be a bad decision? Because the pipeline and gas line or gas lease, gas company, those landmen don't work for you. They work for the company. Do you remember that? No, they don't work for you. They work for the company. So let's not rely on them to give us the advice we need for us, for our property, for our children, and our children's children. Let's get our own, somebody working for us. So I'm going to tell the rest of this story. To me, it's a sad ending to this to me. Look, it's not, nobody's individually physically hurt, but it's a bad situation. So I'm going to explain this when I get back. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I'm going to start saying this so much more often. Guys, stop signing bad agreements. Get assistance. Stop signing bad agreements. I'll be right back after this break. Remember, I'm here with you on this station every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m., and I'll be right back. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I'm here with you. You can join me every Sunday on this station from 8 to 9 a.m. where I bring you, the landowner, the oil and gas right owner, the information that you need as a gas right owner, as a landowner regarding gas development here in Pennsylvania. So I'm telling a story, and I'm telling a hypothetical story about an attorney who went on vacation last week. So just to recap real quick, the history is landowner signs a very good pipeline right-of-way agreement that says, here's where the right-of-way and easement is going to be located, here's where the pipeline is going to be installed, and you as a company can only access the property from either end of the right-of-way. You do not have authority to construct a roadway. You do not have a authority to ingress and egress or go to and from the pipeline on this property unless you're going onto the easement from either end of the easement, not traveling across the property, whether it be by a roadway you construct or simply driving across the field to access the easement area. So very good terms, very strong terms. Many others are needed, but that's just this example. So as the as the attorney goes on vacation, the pipeline company landman goes out to the landowner and says, hey, we need you to sign this new map to replace the old map that was attached to your original agreement. Hypothetically, you can imagine, and this is just, again, speculation here, that the landman says, oh, hey, we're going to apply here for permits next week or the following week. We really need to hurry on this. And again, when you hear hurry, drop the pen. You are not in a hurry. They may be in a hurry, but you are not. I have not seen anything that I can recall that any landowner needed to sign in a day, in 2 days, or in 3 days when they are first approached by a company landman. To the contrary, I have seen many cases, many, 50, 100 or more, easily, where the landman says, oh, we're in such a big hurry, and then ultimately the same agreement for the same property is signed sometimes over a year or more later. So when there's a hurry, we can find out if it's truly needed, if there is a real hurry. But if they're just knocking on your door saying, oh, well, we want to hurry up, they're in a hurry, let me give you a bit of insight. I get calls, I get emails. I have so much communication with landowners over the last, since starting 2007 on these issues. I can't remember a case when the landman said, well, not a big hurry on this. Take your time. We're not in a hurry. No. Every person, virtually, every landowner who contacts my office, every landowner, virtually every single one I speak to, everyone says, hey, gas company landmen said they're in a real big hurry. They're really excited about this. They're in a real big hurry. And that's when I unfortunately have to tell the landowner, well, please understand that they always say that they never come and knock on your door and say, whenever you get around to it. No. It's always in a hurry. So don't think that's special. Don't think because they say, oh, we're in a hurry, we want to put a pipeline here, we want to build this pad, we want to create a unit. Well, that's what they tell everybody. Okay, so if you're told that you're in a hurry, look, get information, study, contact a good lawyer, figure out, okay, what is this situation? And if they're in a hurry, that can be identified. If it's a legitimate need to move quickly, that can be identified. So normally, when there is a legitimate need to move quickly, to sign, whether it be a lease, whether it be a pipeline right-of-way agreement or any other document, you can determine that with speaking to a good attorney, looking at the situation. But normally, when a true deadline or hurry situation arises, it's because negotiations have been going on for a lengthy period of time. That's when sometimes there's immediacy that's needed, that you need to take action. But when they first come and knock on your door, I can't think of a time when there was a need to hurry and react. Now, maybe that does occur, but it certainly doesn't occur on that day. So you get that information, you call a good attorney, you figure you do a review and consultation, and you find out, hey, this is a hurry type situation, but more likely, much more likely, you're going to find out, like, okay, now I understand. There really isn't a hurry. And maybe, just maybe, by telling you that there's such a hurry, by the landman telling you there's such a hurry, maybe that makes you think, I better hurry up and do this because I'm either going to miss out or I'm going to delay future money. Well, my experience has been maybe if you don't hurry and you get good information, you learn, well, I don't even need to do this and I didn't want to do it. Or you learn, wow, I could negotiate for significantly more money or significantly better terms. And people who are just signing these agreements will regret just signing these agreements. Not every single person, but many, many, many people. And those are people who I talk to and deal with all the time. But sometimes you could go through life and say, I signed that. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is maybe you signed an agreement for $20,000, where if you would have got advice and you would have understood everything and you would have understood your leverage, maybe instead of $20,000, you would have received $100,000. Maybe instead of receiving $20,000 and seeing the company come in and install pipeline after pipeline after pipeline, maybe you would get $20,000 for every single pipeline. Or again, maybe you would get $100,000 for every single pipeline. You have to look at your circumstance, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying obviously across the board, but what I am saying is I've never seen anyone who did worse by taking a step back, getting information, educating themselves, getting a good attorney, at least doing a good review and a consultation, understand your rights, and I've never seen that have a negative impact. The worst thing, I guess you could say, for the landowner is, and I don't know how this is bad, maybe you go ahead and sign the agreement, but now you know, hey, I understand my leverage. I made sure I wasn't going to be taken advantage of. I made sure I wasn't being taken advantage of. But in most cases I deal with, and this is no exaggeration, this is a true statement. In most cases I deal with, in almost all of them, the people sign better agreements than what they were presented. Many, many cases, it is for more money. In almost all cases, it's for better language and better agreements. And again, the majority of cases, it's both. More money, better agreements. Again, not specific advice, and I'm not making a guarantee that that would happen to you if you call. But I will say, and I'm not again guaranteeing, but I'll say in history that in these reviews and consultations, they have been tremendous values, or have offered a tremendous value to the landowner, and you can do that in an hour or two worth of time in most cases. You're listening to Attorney Doug Clark. This is All Things Marcellus, and you can join me every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. on this station. So, okay, I'm going to go back to my hypothetical here. So, no roadway is allowed, no access across the property is allowed. However, as the attorney is on vacation, the landowner is approached to sign a map, and the landowner is told, hey, we're in a big hurry. Again, shockingly, we're in a big hurry. Okay, we're in a big hurry. All right. So landowner decides, well, okay, they're in a big hurry. They want to hurry up and do this. This is going to be good for me. My attorney's on vacation. I better just go ahead and sign this. Landman tells me this is going to be good for me. Well, remember, landman works for the company, not you, the landowner. So landowner signs. Lawyer comes back from vacation. Landowner sends the new map. Says, hey, got this new map. Lawyer looks at it. Says, please, landowner, tell me you didn't sign this map, because if you did, you have just approved a roadway running across your property over top of your driveway in part, and there's no right at all for the company to do that unless you agree in writing. And if you sign this, you're not going to probably get any more money. Or if there are crops there or timber there, and there's not in this case, hypothetical case we're dealing with, but if there were, you would get crops or timber damage. But you've just, all the things that you've worked for, not all, but when you negotiated the first time to say no roadway, no other access, and then you sign a map to allow it, you've given up what you've negotiated for previously. Well, why did you negotiate for those rights to preclude those rights previously? Well, you did it because you wanted to say, if they're going to put a roadway on my property, I want to either say no because I don't want a roadway on my property. And generally speaking, roadways are bad, generally speaking, my opinion. But if I'm going to agree to a roadway, then I'm going to negotiate it. I'm going to negotiate how big is it going to be? Where's it going to be located? What type of money am I going to receive? Because you're giving a right that there's no right to do. You're giving them a right to install a roadway that they have no right to install. So how it works is you're entitled to compensation, and you're entitled to negotiate that compensation. And I would estimate, my own opinion and estimating in my hypothetical, that say this landowner could negotiate for tens of thousands of dollars if they were going to approve a roadway that was not authorized. Well, by signing this document where conveniently the pipeline company is in such a hurry, you've now given up the right to negotiate, and you've authorized the roadway that you worked very hard not to have on the property previously. And the gas or the pipeline company landman, in a shocking turn of events in my hypothetical, never told the landowner these things. Well, why would they? Because they work for the company, not you, the landowner. So what happens? You now sign a document, give roadway rights that they never had before, get no money. Oh, and there are other changes in location or workspace areas. And you did it all because you thought we were buying into what you were being told, and there was such a hurry that you couldn't wait another 3, 4, 5 days for your attorney who was on vacation to come back because you thought this was such a big deal as far as a hurry, and you didn't think that the map was any big deal. Well, unfortunately, in this hypothetical, this landowner made a very big mistake. And if you wanted to sign the agreement, that's fine. Of course, it's always your right. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're getting the appropriate compensation, and it should be something. And because, look, if they want to put a roadway and they need to do this next week, if that were true, you would have some negotiation leverage to say, wait a second, you don't have the right to put this here. So I want to be paid for this, or I want to say no. And that is your right. That is your right. And when you say, hey, you don't have the right under the contract, I assure you on everything. When a company wants to do something and they have the right, they say we have the rights under the contract. When you as a landowner can preclude activity, that is your right under the contract. Do not be afraid to exercise your rights. They are your rights. So what would have happened if there was a phone call? If the hypothetical landowner talked to the hypothetical lawyer, what would have happened was something like this. Hey, landowner, there's no right at all to put this roadway here. So here's what you can do. If you have no desire for the roadway, you can simply say, you know what, thanks, but no thanks, don't want the roadway. Or you could say, hey, I'm not crazy about this roadway, but if the company is willing to pay me, and I'll throw out a number, say $50,000. Well, then I would do it. So then you can say to the company, hey, look, I negotiated not to have a roadway here, and now you want one. I really don't want it, but I'm willing to, at least I'll throw you out a number, and throw out a number that would make it worth your while. And so you throw out a number, and the company may say, oh, no, that's too high, and where are you left? Right where you were, and no roadway on your property, and no roadway that you didn't want on your property. Versus the flip side, if they say, oh, okay, we'll give you the $50,000. Well, now you have a roadway and you were paid substantially and you're pleased and you're going to get a better agreement. So let's go. Or round 3, you just go ahead and sign it. That's the end of it. You now have a roadway that you never wanted and you essentially get no money for it. All of it could have been avoided, my hypothetical, by putting the pen down, getting information, and not buying into the sky is falling, we are in a hurry. But we came to you now 1 week or 2 weeks before we needed the permit. And what we need to do, look, it's nothing illegal about this hypothetical situation. We need to be educated. We need to be smarter. We need to get information, and we need to stop relying on landmen and company employees who work for the company. No way around that. They work for the company, not you. They are employed by the company. They work for companies who are employed by the gas and pipeline companies. There is no way around that. Please remember that. Also, hurry. Sky is falling, hurry. Put your pen down. And whether you call me or call someone else, please call someone who knows what they're doing and get information. There's nothing that I've seen when you're especially approached first off that you can't take some time, weeks, sometimes months, and literally sometimes a year or more, get information. Don't react. Don't think the sky is falling, because it hasn't fallen yet. You're listening to Attorney Doug Clark. This is All Things Marcellus, here with you every Sunday at 8 to 9 a.m., and I'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I'm here with you every Sunday, 8 to 9 a.m., and you can contact the office anytime, 570-307-0702. 570-307-0702. Don't care where you are, give us a call if you need assistance. So, okay, just to wrap up my little hypothetical story there, the essential moral here is you need to always be informed and understand what you're signing before signing. Too many people are signing agreements not understanding their leverage to negotiate a better agreement, both financially and by way of language, which is extremely important. And also, you're signing bad agreements and you're hurrying and you're signing in a rush. Landmen, company representatives, companies know that the more time that you take to think and learn about what is being offered, the harder it may be for you or to get them to have you sign the agreement being offered, meaning that you'll become perhaps wiser. You may hire a smart attorney who knows what they're doing, and you may say, hey, I'm not just going to sign a bad agreement for super low compensation and terrible terms, although unfortunately way too many people are doing that. You're going to become educated, and so you're going to be saying, hey, I know I have the right to refuse this. So let's take our hypothetical. Hey, I know I can refuse this roadway. So I'm going to negotiate or simply say no. But how do we defend against that if we're the company? I'll tell you this, that company sure as heck didn't want that landowner to call an attorney like me, that somebody's going to say, look, I'm just going to tell you, here's what your rights are. Here's what your options are. Here's what your leverage is. Here, now, what you want to do with it, here's different things you can do. It is your decision on how you handle that. If you're a person that says, well, I see now, I could simply say no, or I could negotiate for more money and better language, but what the heck, I'm just going to go ahead and sign this. Who needs more money? Who needs better language? Who doesn't want a roadway on their property that they don't want? Who? So how do we defend against that? Well, landowner, hey, we're in a real big hurry. This is going to get you a lot of money. We want to do this next week. Important. Here's the pen. All right, think about that, guys. Think about it. Please think about that. You're listening to Attorney Doug Clark. This is All Things Marcellus. So we got to stop this. We have to stop acting in a hurry. Please do not fall into the trap that, there's such this big hurry. In many cases, landowners who have already fallen into that trap fall into it a second time. And God forbid a third time when they say, we need to get this done. We want to get this pipeline. There's no pipeline. We want to get this done. We want to get this well pad in. We want to get drilling. That hasn't occurred. So you got to look. You have to say, okay, why am I signing this? What am I signing? Do I fully understand my rights? Have I negotiated to make sure that I'm getting the most money that I can? Have I also got the best language in this agreement? And make sure that you understand what you're signing. You cannot simply sign something because the gas company or pipeline company tells you they are in a hurry. And again, I want to stress, look, this is nothing illegal that companies and pipeline companies, gas companies, landmen are doing. Look, that's their job. We need to understand they have a job. Landmen work for companies. They have a job to get your signature. Your job is to be educated and informed and not rely on the person who's working for the other side to give you your education and information. Yes, you listen, you learn. You can get a lot of information from the individual, but my opinion is very, very strong. Whether it's me or someone else, you need to call and get a knowledgeable attorney when you're going to sign a contract that will last potentially for generations. You need to make sure that you're doing the right thing, that you're getting the most money and getting the best contracts. I am never making a guarantee. What I do, I tell clients, look, I can't guarantee you anything but my best efforts, and that's what I'm going to give you. My best efforts, the best information that I can. I'm going to guide you the best way I can. But everybody is in a different circumstance and situation. So some people may sign an agreement that other people find is not appropriate for them. That's your decision. But what you need to make your decision is to understand from the landowner's perspective. What are your options? What is the positives? What is the negatives with the agreement that's offered? Can I negotiate for more money? Can I negotiate for better terms, to limit the number of pipelines, the size of the easements, the access areas? You need to understand all of those things. And once again, not saying because Doug Clark is some kind of genius. I don't say that. What I'm telling you is based upon experience. In virtually every agreement that I've worked on, it has been improved from the offer that was presented to the landowner. And in many, many cases, the compensation offered compared to what the landowner signs is thousands, tens of thousands, and literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, in many cases, more than what was offered. We're typically able to identify a basic leverage assessment early on, like in a review and consultation. So it's not saying, oh, hire this guy, you're going to make hundreds of thousands of more dollars. No. Hire this guy. If you do, and this isn't a commercial, this is just what happens, then you're going to understand your leverage. You're going to understand your options. You're going to understand, do I want to negotiate? Do I want to reject this offer? Or is this one of the very rare circumstances where I need to just go ahead and put pen to paper if I want to enter into this agreement? And if it is, that's something that's going to take an hour or two of time. It's not something that's going to take a year, or not even a year, I shouldn't say it that way. It's not something that's going to take 10 hours of legal work to sign a document you're presented. No, it's like, well, hey, here's the deal. Don't think we can do much here. Here's the circumstance. Here's the situation. And we get those on occasion. So what you need as a landowner is a good, honest assessment by somebody who understands this and knows these issues to help guide you as to what to do. What you don't need to do is sign a document that some human being comes to your house who's working for the gas or pipeline company and says, hey, we're in a hurry, we need to sign this. Well, if they're in a hurry, let me tell you, if it's true, that's really good news for you. If they're in a hurry, the best thing you can do is say, okay, fine, let me put this pen down because I'm not signing today, because I guarantee you they wouldn't, and knowing everything they know, they wouldn't. So I'm going to put this pen down. I'm going to call an attorney. I'm going to get some information. And if this is in my best interest, that attorney will tell me that, and I'll go ahead and sign. But I'm not going to just sign today because you're in a hurry. I'm not going to sign tomorrow because you're in a hurry. Because listen, guys, every single person who's listening right now, think about this. When the landman came to your house, did they tell you they were in a hurry? And if you're shaking your head, yes, then let me tell you this. You're not alone. That virtually every listener who's ever been approached to sign any type of an agreement, the landman has said, we are in a hurry. The company is in a hurry. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Don't go get a lawyer. Don't go get information. Don't go get a leverage assessment to understand your rights and what you can do. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Sign this document. We don't want you to be informed of your rights through an attorney or to understand what you're doing. We are in a hurry. Money, money, money. We're in a hurry. Here's a pen. Please, guys, we got to stop falling into that. We have to stop signing bad agreements. Do not, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're not, I mean this as respectful as I can be. Don't think that your property or your situation is so special and unique that the company is in a hurry for you. They're in a hurry with almost every single person, if not everyone, they present the agreement to. Hurry is a way for you to sign bad agreements. I see it as a code. Hurry equals hurry, sign bad agreements. Think about that. Please be careful. And look, if you call me, great. If you don't call me, call someone who knows. But don't just sign because they're in a hurry and we're going to get you more money. We're going to get you more royalties. This is going to happen. This is all great, because that's been said for the last 8 years plus, and it's worked out for some people, but look around and you probably have seen it yourself. Maybe not working out for everybody. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm, here with you on this station every Sunday, 8 to 9 a.m., and I'm going to be right back after this super important message. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. And I want to remind everybody, if you can't tune in each week to check out the show, you can go to our websites, which, again, whether it's to listen to the shows or use the websites as a resource. The websites are pagasleaseattorney.com and pipelineattorney.com. pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com. We archive the radio shows. So this week's new show will be up and available Monday morning. So if you can't listen over the weekend, check it out Monday morning or any time during the week. We have over a year worth of radio shows, I think well over a year worth of radio shows up and available online on pagasleaseattorney.com and on pipelineattorney.com. You can go back. We have a search feature, so you can search and listen to and find the show that's on the topic that you're interested in. So if it's gas leasing, pipelines, do a lot of different kind of shows. Sometimes they're very technical, reviewing specific lease and pipeline language. Sometimes it's more on a rant or a riff about things that have came up and during the week and things we need to watch out for, which was kind of how I'd classify today's show a bit. But why we need to get more information, why we need to take steps back, not be in a hurry, understand the significance of entering into a very long-term contract. We need to make sure that we're being educated, that we're informed, and we're making the right decisions for ourselves, our property, our children, and their children. And it may sound melodramatic, but it's true. We want to make sure we're doing the best we can. So go use pagasleaseattorney.com and pipelineattorney.com as a resource. I have been doing this show, All Things Marcellus, since 2010. So I've been doing All Things Marcellus since 2010. So there's a lot of information available on the website. So please, if you're not even looking for representation, use the sites, Find good, credible sites, use them to educate yourself and to learn, and that's going to add to your knowledge base, which is going to allow you to make the best possible decision. So please, again, I encourage you to do that. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark, and you can go to pagasleaseattorney.com and pipelineattorney.com. Hear today's show and many hours of other shows that are available on the websites. So, okay, I'm going through giving a hypothetical story. I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to give a real story. So I was on vacation over this past week, and I have been dealing with a client of mine, and we were in negotiations for a gas lease for several parcels that this client owned. Leading up into vacation, I advised the landman that I was working with that I was going to be going on vacation and said that we're going to be talking about this. I'll be speaking with my client when I get back, and then I'll get back to you. Landman says, shockingly, they're in a hurry. So you say, well, listen, here's the situation. If you think it's a problem, let me know. Nothing was said like, oh my gosh, we have to have it signed by today, or this whole deal was going to fall through. Well, many times, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes that can occur, that you have that kind of statement made, but it doesn't always mean that it's true, but you have to be very careful. Deadlines need to be treated with respect, but signing something just because there is a deadline may not be in your best interest. But we need to assess and evaluate deadlines when there are true deadlines and make decisions. Hey, do we really believe this is a true deadline? And is this an agreement that you want to sign? And just because you're given a deadline doesn't mean you have to do something. If the deadline is, hey, you got to jump off this bridge by noon tomorrow, well, listen, my advice would be don't jump off the bridge unless it's a very, unless it's not very high. So just because there's a deadline, don't fall for a deadline to sign a bad agreement. Why sign a bad agreement? Well, I had a deadline. Well, just because you're facing a deadline, not such a great excuse to sign a bad agreement. It just really isn't. And so sometimes a wise individual lets deadlines pass. And again, this is not specific advice for anybody. We have to look at your specific situation, but just because there's a proposed deadline does not mean you need to sign what is being offered. What it does mean is you need to understand, is it a real deadline? What are you being offered? Or what do we think may occur in the future? You need to consider all relevant factors that you can find and assess and decide, hey, is this right for me to do? And I have seen dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of people let deadlines go by and then in the future sign significantly better agreements than those presented to them in front of this deadline. Again, very careful to say this. This is not specific advice. I would have to look at your circumstance, but just because there's a deadline doesn't mean that you have to sign a bad agreement. It means that you need to understand it and you should have a device. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. So, okay, back to my story. True story. Not a hypothetical. I'll just say this. Not a hypothetical story. So, landman knows I'm going on vacation. Client knows I'm going on vacation. Landman knows when I'll be back. Client knows when I'll be back. Well, here I am. I'll be honest. Here I am laying by a swimming pool in very nice, beautiful weather, very relaxed, maybe even having myself a nice fruity drink with a pretty little umbrella in it, and just really relaxing and enjoying life. And for some reason, I decide, which I try very hard not to do, to pick up my cell phone and check my emails while I'm away. And unfortunately, in this world, it's a necessary evil in most cases. So I decided to do that. Well, let me just say, I almost spit my drink out, and I'm sorry to give that image, but I get an email from my client that the landman who knew I was going on vacation that day, who didn't say, knew I was going on vacation that day, knew when I was going to be back, knew when I was going to be communicating with my client and getting back to that person, called my client the very same day that I went on vacation. Didn't contact me to say, I'm going to be contacting your client. Do you mind? Didn't contact me to say, oh, hey, we really need to get this done today. I know you're on vacation. Would you mind if I contacted your client? Didn't do any of those things. Simply on the very day I left, contacted my client and tried to get my client to sign the documents that were currently presented. On the very day I left. Never told me, never said, hey, do you mind? Never said, hey, this has become super critical in a matter of one day since we had last communication. No. Went on the very day I left on vacation and went immediately and contacted the client and never told me. The client sends an email telling me that the landman called them the day I left to say, how now this is a big rush and we need to get this done right away. I'm so used to saying right away. Right away, immediately. Well, needless to say, I almost lost my mind. And not a good thing when you're out there on vacation. You know, I'm in this incredibly nice situation, relaxed, and just literally, I get to the point sometimes where I say, you know what, look, I've seen so many things, I can believe anything could occur. But I almost couldn't believe that happened. I almost couldn't believe that we had these communications. Hey, I'm going to be away. We'll address this when I get back. Okay, not a problem. Boom. The day I go away, within hours of the time that I'm on vacation, the landman immediately contacts the client without telling me, without my approval, without the courtesy, and saying, hey, we need to hurry up and get this done. Let me tell you, that really upsets me. And I don't think that I'm ever going to deal with this individual ever again because I've now lost all respect for this individual. If there was a need to contact the client, when you say, hey, look, or shoot an email to me or something, call the office. There wasn't even a message at the office, but could have sent an email saying, hey, look, something came up. Do you have any objection? And then if you don't hear from me and you need to do that, well, then at least you offered the courtesy. But my God, how does it look within hours after my departure on vacation? You're running out to the client to talk to them to say, here, hurry up and sign this. Unbelievable. So you have to watch out, in my opinion. You have to watch out. My heavens. It's just, some of the things that's remarkable. Like, and take my hypothetical from earlier where landowner thinks that there's such a hurry that they can't wait, and so hurries up and signs something that there was no right for a company to do, and I'm sure for almost virtually no money, when probably there would be tens of thousands of dollars available. Well, why do you do that? Because when you're in a company, what do you want? The best possible contract for you. When you're the landowner, what do you want? The best contract for you. There are two sides. You work as adversaries, not as fighting adversaries, but as adversaries to negotiate the best possible contract. So to wrap it up, landowner did not sign and deal did not go away. All right, I'm gonna leave. We're over time here almost. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Two things to remember: 1, stop signing bad agreements. 2, landman works for the company, not you, the landowner. Have a great week, everyone.